All right, y'all ready to get into some leader rankings?
Let's do it.
All right, welcome to our leader rankings. I think we put time limits on this so that we don't go too far. Because last time I think Alex and I spent like an hour and a half on this, and I would prefer to not spend an hour and a half on this. How about that? That would be preferable. So essentially,
let's just all agree. Easy.
All right, so we're gonna agree that everything is A tier except for Ahsoka and Grand Inquisitor. There we go.
Wow.
And Cal. All right. Anyway, so who wants to kick us off? Essentially, what we do is we have S through D. S is basically we feel this leader is broken or pretty close to broken. It's going to be one of the best leaders of the set. I'm a little bit more liberal with my S rankings. Alex will never be liberal with his, and will probably give nobody an S ranking ever. So there you go.
Only if they're like super busted.
And then JJ will give everything an A except for like the two leaders that he doesn't like, and they'll get B's and C's. But essentially,
not the ones that he called, right? Because those are automatically S tier.
Yeah, well, those will be like on the top tier. So essentially, what we're doing is we're basically taking, and we're just gonna say which ones we are. A tier, I would consider like A tier a very playable character, something that maybe hasn't been discovered, or something that we could really take care of and can really kind of go out there and make a big difference. Will join the meta. B is somebody that's probably like not quite built for it yet, but is something that can possibly take over. C tier is nice to have, and D tier is we'll never put these on the table. So
yeah, C tier is like, the next set comes out in like 2 weeks, so let's try this leader.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then D is just like, well, I guess I'm not going to play this guy ever.
Yeah. So I'm gonna kick it off. I'll kick it off first. It'll be easy. We're going to pick Cal, and I'm gonna put Cal in the. I think Cal's a C tier, but probably D. But I'm gonna put Cal as a C tier.
JJ, what do you think?
I think I agree. I think a C tier, mainly because you're giving the agency to your opponent to choose, and if your opponent has the ability to play multiple units or cheap units, you're really not hurting them. Like like the worst possible matchup for Cal would be like the JTL Bader, right? Oh, I'm gonna exhaust one of my 1/1 TIE fighters. Ooh, So I mean, unless you really lean into the into that particular like style of play for constantly exhausting your opponent's units, you're likely not having enough resources to play units of your own to like like really do or have an effective offense. So he's pretty limited for what he can do, or at least boost his own units. So yeah, I think C tier is probably being nice. I might venture into D tier, but I'll give it to you for now.
Fine, I'll be the mean one. Throw him in D tier. What are you doing? I think if you want to exhaust things, like Akbar's probably better. Yeah. I don't think Cal's that great of a aggro leader. He could probably do it better with some other combinations of people. And his stats are not great.
Yeah.
The only thing he's got going for him is that he's a 4-leader deploy force unit. So if that breaks something, maybe. But he's also not a Jedi, so he's just a force. So it's not like you can like flip him like Quinlan and just slap a general's blade on him, right? It's just more like, well, he's flipped, and hopefully they don't have like open fire. Maybe there's something there. I just think so many other leaders do other better things.
That's fair. We'll throw him in D tier because that's probably where he belongs. All right, JJ, you're next. Who are you gonna pick?
I'm going to pick the leader that I guessed, Morgan Elsbeth. She definitely feels like an A tier, mainly because the ease of having like a deck build to take advantage of her abilities is super easy. You can build all types of decks, and she really just benefits them all. She is really easy to build around with, and as far as her deploy stats, it's pretty average. You know, a 3/6. I mean, she's not there to really knock out anything really really big. She just more enables the rest of the deck to do a lot better, or to play a lot more units out there. She can fit in a lot of different styles between like aggro decks or mid-range decks. So I think that she'll see a lot of use, and she'll get better as we start getting more and more keywords.
Tanner or me?
You go ahead. I do not agree with JJ. How about that?
Yeah, I think you and I are probably a little bit closer to each other. I have her like bottom of the C tier. I don't think she's like unplayable. I think she's just a little bit slow for what she's trying to do. I mean, like, paying less for units is very good. It just like you just have to jump a little bit through too many hoops for my liking. Like, you have to attack with a unit, and then you can play a unit that costs less, which is, relatively normal kind of flow. I get that. It's just, I don't know, 3/6 when she flips for 5 is fine. It's just, she seems a little bit slower than what I would like. Although, I wonder if you can build, like, a really stupid Sentinel stall deck with her. I might have to try that.
Yeah. My thoughts are either Sentinel or Ambush, right? Because Ambush kind of takes care of itself. But Sentinel is definitely one of the other ways to build her. And I think that's where she shines.
I mean, it might be really interesting with the Restore, right? Because if the blue and green have a lot of Restore. So I can see it, like, kind of doing stuff. I just think it's a little bit too slow. And maybe like Bo-Katan, right, where you have to attack with a Mandalorian and then ping something.
I don't think she's very good. Like, I will put her. I agree with the C tier like that. I probably don't think she's the worst one. The problem I have is you have to have a unit that lives all the time. So you have to either play a lot of smaller units and be able to cheat more units out, or get a bigger card draw or something. Like, you have to do something, because like you're gonna attack with something and it dies. So I think that there's some discoverability in her, which if we have to compromise, I could probably put her on a low end of the B. But like, I'll be honest, like I just don't think there's gonna be a lot there, and like I think she'll be good possibly in sets to come. But for now, I don't see the value there.
Like, you could build around her like how we built around, like, Lando from last set, right? Where it's like, yeah, you can do stuff, and it is kind of annoying, and it can kind of work, but, like, there's a bazillion other things that just kind of do it better. That's just how my initial impression is.
Yeah.
I do want to play her, so I don't want to stick her D tier, because I don't really feel like playing anyone in D. It's a little bit too difficult, even for,
Fair enough. All right, Alex, your pick is next.
Well, let's also get this one out of the way.
Let's
choose Ray.
So S tier for Ray. I see it right now. Okay, good job, Alex.
I think she's better than Cal Kestis. That's about as far as I'll go. I don't think she's that particularly strong. I would put her at like the top of D. Like her. That would sound really weird. I was going to say her body's really nice. The 6'8" stat line.
Oh my god! All right.
Like I said, it sounds really weird. No, the stat line for her leader flip's pretty solid, but it's also flips on a 7, and her ability's like dump your hand, draw 2. I don't think there's enough of the card pool to make her particularly strong yet. I don't know. JJ, what's your opinion?
No, I agree. I think she's solid. I think I give her the same ranking, honestly.
Are we missing something, Tanner?
I don't think so. No, nope.
Okay.
I think I will say like I think her on deploy is garbage. I will say I played against the Ray, and like it's I think there is going to be a possibility for a hero control deck, right? You know, at some
Sure.
point, and I think that's where she fits in. But like she's feels very anti-synergistic, right? Because you have to play a non-unit force card.
Right.
So like you
Bunch
have
of
to
stuff.
you have to play just cards and not like units. And I know force throw's a thing, but like that's 3 cards. And I know there's other force thing. I haven't found the force cards to be valuable enough to make her work. Yeah, in my opinion.
Yeah, and a fair bit of them from this side are just like, hey, spend the force, and then you have to like actually obtain the force, which is a little bit awkward when you're trying to play a lot of events or non-units because you still need units.
Yeah, to get
Yeah.
the force. So
Right. If she was like not red, I think it'd be a little bit better because red hero tends to be, very, very aggro. So you're just like, kind of, why are you playing a 7 deploy leader?
Yeah.
Like Mace kind of gets around with it because he does more damage, and his leader flip is actually pretty relevant compared to Ray. So
And there's really not much ramp too that you could really do with hero red.
yeah, and your RAM cards aren't force cards either, right? So
Exactly.
like, what are you doing? So I think we got a couple of the easy ones out of the way, or at least 2 of the easy ones.
Yep. All right, so I'm going to pick Darth Revan next, and I'm going to say C tier. I say better than Morgan Elsbeth, but not by
Oh.
much.
JJ, you have words.
Mainly because of Morgan Elsbeth, not because of Revan. No, I agree with you. Like Revan feels like a mid C tier for me, honestly. I mean, the abilities are pretty limited right now. I mean, it's nice to have a dark side restore for a leader, but again, coming out at 3/6. Sure, it gets better with a lightsaber, but again, you're just taking that extra turn to try to power up Darth Revan so he can feel like a better leader when he deploys. The ability itself is okay. Just being able to give out experience tokens is nice. You can kind of exploit that a little bit if you're playing with like shields or like have a bunch of shoot firsts in your deck. But beyond that, I feel like you have to really, really tailor hard to that if you really want to take advantage of it. So it feels like a lot of extra work where other leaders are a lot more synergistic right off the bat. So mid C for me.
Yeah, I think the big thing with Revan is that he has the ability to give the experience token after something defeats a unit, but like you have to live. Yeah.
Yeah, to live. Yep.
And your one aspect. I agree. I think Revan's. Yeah, I agree with where you guys put her. I think he's a little bit more versatile than Morgan. Maybe I value like efficiency leaders a little bit higher than you guys because you can do things like ambush in and then kill stuff and then just get an experience. And it's not like you're losing tempo. And his ability's not an action, so that helps. And the 3/6 restore 1 for 5 is fine. It's just the one aspect is a little bit wonky. I'm sure you can build stuff around him. I'm just not sure how great the things around him you're building. It's like Wedge, right? Like from last side, you can build stuff around them. It's just like you're not ultimately doing too much. You're kind of railroading yourself a little bit with Revan, I feel.
Yeah.
And then limiting it to one aspect's a little bit rough.
Yeah. All right, next.
I'll go.
No.
I'll so I'm gonna pick Anakin Skywalker. Kind of feels like a C tier for me, mainly because his natural ability to for you to spend the force in order for you to play a dark side non-unit card, which would be like any event. Feels like there's a lot of hoops to jump through. Probably a little bit easier if you have like one of those bases that helps you regenerate the force a lot quicker. But again, it just feels like you're taking that extra resource that you can spend for other like unit abilities in order for you to play a dark side card. For that, why not just play a villain, right? His deploy is better than most that we've seen so far that we talked about deploying at 5, and he's a 4/6. It's nice to have that kind of like leader deploy there, especially if he gets boosted with like a lightsaber. But beyond that, I mean, he's just a mid C tier, honestly.
Tanner, you look like you have some words with that too.
I'm
probably between you guys, so you should go first.
I think he's B tier. I think that there's something there. We just haven't discovered it yet. And to answer your question, JJ, where I would say you have to have the force to play the card. I agree with you, except for there's only probably a few villain cards that I have to absolutely play, but the few that I can play in hero can make him just insanely good.
OB,
And
I would assume is like
because it doesn't care about color, so you could play every villain card, and that's why he's better. So like to me, he's high B tier, and I would wager that if I had spent more time with him, I probably would put him in the A tier. But I think I think A is probably a little bit too generous right now. With him, I really genuinely feel B tier like is a very solid place for him, and I think that the pool is there. It's just, again, you're down to one aspect in hero, right? So naturally people are gravitating towards blue. But I think you can make a decent, he comes out on 5, you can make a decent tempo aggro deck with him with hero red pretty good. And you get some crazy stuff that you get to do with him with OB and Power the Dark Side and all these other things. So I say B tier personally.
Well, spoilers. I don't have S tier leaders because I don't think any of these leaders are super busted, right? So I have them at like a low B. I do think JJ actually has a point that you like need the force a lot, right? Which isn't the most difficult, but like it is a limiting factor. Like you can't just like if you don't have the force, right? You can't just be like, okay, I claim and then I'm just going to OB their entire board. You still have to acquire it in certain ways. Is a little bit limiting, especially also having only the hero aspect. And there's a lot of like solid villainy cards too, and it doesn't have to be events too. You could do like Frozen and Carbonite, which is a fantastic card. I just it's a lot. Again, there's a lot of hoops to jump through. I feel like I'm more down than a fair amount of people on Anakin. But I think he's just like he has the potential to be like a kind of like a lower B for me. I feel like you can play around him pretty well.
Honestly, the best comparison I can make him is like the Chancellor Palpatine, right? Where you have to play like a light side card to flip them, and then you can play dark side card and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Like in that particular type of leader, that comes naturally because you can easily, choose when you want to play each in order to flip the card. Here, you're really reliant on you being able to recover that force with different like effects, and that really limits the amount of cards that you can have. And granted, a lot of those cards, like OB, for instance, Overwhelming Barrage, is just really, really strong. But unless you can really set yourself up and your opponent does nothing to disrupt your flow of like setting up a really good OB, it can be really difficult if your opponent knows what exactly you're trying to set up, right? So like for that, you have to have a lot of things go right in order for you to be really effective with Anakin. I think that's what brings him down to C for me. So, but yeah, other than that, when things go right, he definitely has a high ceiling. So
yeah, there is a potential that your hand is just a whole bunch of bricks, right? Because you have like if you're playing like 15 villainy cards, right? Like there's still a chance that like you aren't drawing like maybe you have like a bunch of high hero stuff and like a couple low villainy cards. If you don't have the force, like you're just sitting doing nothing. So I'm always a little bit iffy on decks where it's just like, well, you just can't play these cards until X happens, and I'm like, well, I'm super unlucky, so I'm like I'm never gonna get X. So let's try not to hit that scenario, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So that's what holds me back a little bit on him. I think I'm actually a little bit closer to JJ than Tanner on this.
Fair enough. All right, let's go on to the next one. You're next, I think.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah.
Oh no. Let's do Qui-Gon. He's way over there, right? Yeah, Qui-Gon's cool. I have Qui-Gon at like the top of B tier for me, or like bottom A tier, I guess. I think that ability's very good. Like you can manipulate a lot with it for pretty positive effects. Maybe I'm just a little bit like, oh, I can combo this, and this. I think like a 4/7 body for 6 is, pretty solid. Luke Skywalker had those stats. It's just you can do a bunch of just funny things, and then also playing cards for free is just really solid. When, granted, you are like technically removing a higher costed unit for something less, so you are like regressing, but also like if you have good one play effects, like it can get silly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't have enough experience to say he would be solely A tier, but he would fit easily into that low end of A, high end of B. I do think there's something there, and I do like his comboiness, and it is yellow hero, so there's a lot of stupid, silly shenanigan things you can do. And
like
she
you can
and
pick up a 4 costed unit and then drop a Falcon and then swing in for 3.
Yep, every single turn if you want. So it's I would probably at this point borderline the A tier for now.
Yeah,
I kind of
like the highest B.
Yeah, I agree. He's there's something here, and I feel that he's got potential to see meta play. And like I kind of think of him similar to like a Quinlan. Quinlan's a little bit more what I would consider. I'm going to have a discardish style package, ping package. This is I'm going to tempo you and then just dump good units out, and then pick them back up and play them again. And like I mean,
play
like
modded cohort, pick it up, and then play the Falcon.
Yeah, I mean, and like yeah, you're burning an extra resource, but yeah, I mean, like it does combo with some other crazy things, and you also have the ability, like you have the ability to use Ahsoka, for example, and you put Ahsoka down, and you get to pick her back up, and so you get to use her as an exhaust card for 4. Then you get to play a Falcon for free, and essentially you've played a 1-cost exhaust card, and you get to basically keep both of your cards. So it goes against the whole pillage force throw style package, I think, very well, and that's why I like it.
Why not be the most mean you can do and just have like play Cantina Bouncer because you're playing like double yellow for fun. Play Cantina Bouncer, use Qui-Gon's ability, drop Ahsoka, flip Qui-Gon, swing with him, pick up Ahsoka, drop Odie Rogue, and just like wreck their hand.
You can do that too.
We should also let JJ. What's your opinion on this? Sorry, now they're spouting random stuff.
I think you guys actually hit it right on the nail. I do agree. I actually rank him high B. So
we all said the highest B.
The highest B. Yeah, honestly, it's something that's going to be really good. I feel like it's going to be the Kinlan Voss of this particular set. It's going to be played a lot, I think. So.
We're letting JJ just choose all the leaders that like he called, right? Like I'm not going to touch that.
I don't know what other leaders he called. So I don't remember.
Third Sister, Barris, Morgan.
Yeah. I was actually going to go with Third Sister. I was kind of like iffy on Third Sister. I mean, having the hidden is nice for when you actually deployed her. And on top of that, you can give the next unit that you play a hidden ability as well, which could be really strong. It kind of works better the later you can play it, right? Mainly because if your opponent has like something waiting for them, like an ambush unit or something, having that hidden ability can be really nice to make sure that unit survives the turn. However, only having 4 health when deploying is really rough to die to an open fire. So for that, I mean, her regular ability is okay at best. Being able to play a unit to gain hidden is nice. It just allows your opponent to basically just say, okay, I'm just going to hit into your base. But if you're playing aggressively, if you're playing a lot of low cost units that allow you to attack your unit space and get damage in early, if you can play very aggressively, then it's hard for your opponent to kind of counter that. So you definitely don't want to play her for the long game. You want to play her more aggressively. I want to be safe and say I give her a C. She does have potential to rise higher with the right combination. I just haven't found it yet. But I think there is some potential there. But from what I'm seeing so far, just in light testing, she just feels like a C to me.
Ooh, I agree, JJ. I initially I think I was a little bit high on her because I'm just like, yeah, hidden, you can play aggro. And then I'm just like, oh right, 5/4 and a 5 is a little bit rough.
Yeah,
It's I think it'll be better earlier on, right? Because a lot of people tend towards aggro at the start of sets, so like not having your units die to them responding to it is pretty nice. But then they just kill the unit that you play last turn, right? Like, and then if you go into any like mid to soft control, like mid-range soft control style, where they have like the open fires or like the takedowns, that goes through hidden, so that kind of neutralizes her ability. I feel like she's like Kylo from set 2 for me.
Yeah.
Like where
Yeah.
if you have a very specific deck, you can like go and you can do some work. But it's like very aggro focused, and if your opponent kind of derails you a little bit, it does stumble pretty hard.
Yeah.
But maybe there's something else there. I haven't really put a lot of theory into Third Sister. But to me, she feels like just like mid to high C, probably a little bit higher C. Like,
yeah.
Over Revan for me, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I went second, Tanner. There you go.
I disagree with you all, but that's just me. I think she's a B tier, but that I may be a low B, I guess. I have had extremely good success with her. There you go. As an aggro
Sleeping
deck. No, people don't always play control, Alex. So like that's the problem.
They're wrong.
Like, well, okay, but that's not the way the game plays, and so like because the game isn't just this aggro hellhole that we live in, or this specific control. Like I think she has the ability to do different things. She can put multiple units out. She has very good synergy, in my opinion, with the now there are 2 of them. It gives her the ability to have a bunch of different force units out. You don't need hidden on everything, but you can play a second hidden unit. You can play Dooku. I don't know. I have found I have like a 58%ish win rate with her right now. So
Wow. Impressive.
So like I don't think she's quite as good as Sabine. I guess I would put it that way, but I do feel that she has a very Sabine-ish vibe, and I don't usually worry about them killing her because I have 3 to 4 units on the board when I flip her, and I just don't flip her right away. Like, and if they really want to kill her over something else, I guess whatever. So
what do you do if they just like drop a village protector or like any sort of sentinel, right? That's like a little bit sticky.
Well, the village protectors are not sticky. I mean, you swing into both of them. I mean, but you have confiscate, right? So you have a confiscate for it. You have the ability to do Sheehan Flurry, so you can drop a Grand Inquisitor. You can bring in a Fifth Sister or whatever, and that has Saboteur. And it just goes right through the shield and kills the thing, and then you can swing with your Grand Inquisitor, and they've just lost.
Sure. There's counters to every card. I'm just like saying it's like they just like stack a sentinel in front of you. So what do you? I feel like you just lose a lot of momentum there.
Yeah, what if they play a Morgan
so.
Elsbeth? I mean, come on.
I don't know if it's just like a Nima outpost card, right? It's like a 2/6 sentinel. It's like it's just a lot to kind of chew through. I don't really care about the damage, like the return damage.
If everybody starts with playing those cards, then okay. Nobody plays Neem Sentinel. Like that's not in any deck right now. So
It's in a couple raid decks that I see, but that's about
Okay,
it. I'll
whatever.
give you that. I was just trying to give like a high
Yeah.
elf sentinel, right? And that was the first one. That
yeah,
pops in my head.
like once you hit resource 6 and they can start dropping Obi-Wans and next turn Luke's, you lose. Like you're 100%. You lose the game. But not some of these other things is not like that. Like I have not had that specific instance where I've had to deal with people having like nothing but ground sentinel or nothing but air sentinels and stuff like that. Like where I can't do absolutely anything for it. So.
Yeah, it just seems like they don't attack the unit you just dropped. They just kill the one that you dropped the turn before, and it's like kind of just evening out anyways. Maybe. I don't know. I just maybe
I mean,
it's 'cause I play a little too much control,
You do. I mean, like, okay, if they claim on turn 1 and I drop 1 unit and they power the dark side, I could play 2 units that next turn, and then I play 2 units, and then now you can't power the dark side with me anymore. So it's like I get it. Like I get like hidden may not be as good as people think it is, but I think that I've had better success with it because you can't just attack into it. You have to now run extra events to take care of my deck. One event's not going to kill multiple things. And I guess until you hit bombing run, then I don't know what to tell you. But
Grenade strike.
I don't care about grenade strike. Everything has enough health on it. You can run grenade strike all day long. It's not going to matter. I actually run Fifth Brother, so you run grenade strike, and it's the same thing. It's similar-ish. If you think like how Cad Tarkintown works, like you would think that would be a very sad deck, except for he's a really strong leader when he comes out. Well, she has the ability to do similar-ish things and then kind of swarm the board. So I'm going to leave her in B. Now that we've had this conversation, she's staying in B. God damn it. So that's how this is going to work.
I dissent.
That's fine. You can dissent all you want. I'm going to pick Talzin, and we're just going to get where I think the S tier is out of the way, because Alex thinks there's 0 S tier. I've been playing quite a bit of Talzin. I feel Talzin's ability is extremely strong, and then the cards that they gave around her are also very strong as well. She has done nothing like in testing. She's done nothing but pretty much win most games. And she does struggle a tiny bit against like hard control, but against soft control, she could play that game right along with you. So I'm putting her in S tier, and I say that as well because I believe that she has at least 2 colors that she can play in. No questions asked.
JJ?
I think I wouldn't mark her as S tier. I think I would mark her as A tier. Because she does play very well into the control decks, being able to give out that -1/-1 when she deploys is great. She's a force unit, so she also can wield a lightsaber as well, which is great. I actually prefer her playing as in green decks. Just because you have that OB that you can put in there as well. And there are also some Night Sisters that are pretty nice in green. So, or Night Units, not Night Sisters. So I think she definitely has very, very high potential. Really great. However, from the incredibly bad luck I would say I would have, I think she kind of falters around mill decks. But that's just in my very, very limited, narrow experience. So yeah.
Yeah, apparently JJ just plays like a ton of mill decks, like against a ton of mill decks. It's wild.
I know.
Again, I believe S tiers are just like fundamentally broken leaders. So I don't have her in S tier. I do have her in A tier. I think she's very good. I like my efficiency leaders, and giving -1/-1 is very efficient. She can actually just do a lot of work if she's like deployed and attacking, because her 3 attack is kind of like a 4 attack, and also you do 1 less back at her, right? If she's swinging directly into you, which is pretty cool. And like you were saying, Tanner, like the cards they like specifically brought in basically for her, the set seems like they're setting her up pretty well. And I do like blue villainy, kind of control, even though I feel like she leans not really too much into control, but I haven't really explored that theory yet. It was more just like, I'll just shove her in red because that's really easy. So I'm excited. I think she's one of the 2 best leaders. I'm not sure. I not exactly sure who I think is better. But in my opinion, I think there's like 2 A-tier leaders, and she's one of them.
All right, fair enough. Let's move on to the next one.
Let's do no, let's do Snoke. I love Snoke. Snoke's really cool. I have Snoke at like the bottom. No, I was like I have him at like mid B, like less good than Qui-Gon, probably better than Anakin in my head.
Okay.
I like green villainy. I like building tall. I think he can do some work. It's nice that he doesn't require the Force, so you don't have to build around that. It's just, spend 1 to give a villainy an experience token. Just, whatever the highest power is, and you can kind of modulate your deck around creating different scenarios where you can spread that experience around, or just like super stack it on something. I think that's pretty cool. 4/7 stat line for 6 is, still solid. And like if you just, I feel like you can run away with some games with him in like certain scenarios.
JJ?
I agree. I actually had Snoke as one of the higher B tier leaders because of the ability for the experience, honestly. And it's very easy to have dark side units that can have have high attack, whether you're buffing it through means like equipping like a dark saber, for instance, or giving out experience with like other units that can give out like experience tokens, like Imperial units that already have the villainy aspect. It's very easy to maintain the experience gap as you're going up. This actually works pretty well too with like a trooper deck that can gain buffs for like just having the trooper icon when you're killing a unit, just giving experience out to another trooper, and you're just making it stronger and stronger. It's pretty simple to execute. I like Snoke a lot, and the ease of play for Snoke is really good. I think second only to Talzin so far from what I've played.
So I'm not quite as high. I don't think Snoke's A tier. I would agree with Alex. I think I would put him in B tier. I question. I guess I get to. Do I get to throw the question back at Alex again? Like, who the fuck are you playing that just doesn't kill your tall leader? Right? Like it's the same thing.
Yeah,
like
that is also a problem, right? Like that's why he's not an A tier for me, is because they can just like you're playing tall, and there's ways to just immediately kill that.
I mean, it's the same thing as Third Sister. Like, and the difference is you're making a tall unit versus a hidden unit. So I think Snoke personally. I think Snoke is okay, and there could be something there. I am not sold as I was before. I think when we had that Gideon deck, was it Gideon? Was it Gideon or Tarkin? I can't remember. Yeah,
Tarkin, that one that stacks experience.
Yeah, and so like we had those decks that were popular, but if we go back and look at some of the cards that were in there, like one of the cards is banned now, right? And so I think that there's some play around that we didn't have before. So I would consider him very mid. I think Anakin's better, but I also have not tested Snoke, so I don't know enough about Snoke to really give him.
Yeah, that's why I think it'd be really interesting to like play with the power levels, so you end up spreading the experience around a little bit more, like build it up to like 4 power, then play like a 4 power unit, and then you can decide which one's which.
Yeah,
that's a lot more brain power, but that's just kind of how I would think I would build like a Snoke deck.
Yeah, and I do like that, like you could put like some block troopers or phase 3 troopers down right, and like you could buff them. Like I do like that. That's kind of like the Rey vibes we get, right? You get to put an experience token on something smaller, but this is bigger. Look, Rey does pretty decent things now. So my belief is there's a Snoke deck out there that is going to be able to do it. I kind of think he's the Admiral P out of the set. Like it will be pretty good when he comes out, and then we'll figure out how to tech against him. And everybody will cry then. But I will say,
just call the dragon a lot. That's it.
I mean, like I said, somebody was playing around with like a blue-green deck with him, and like is more of a mid-range deck where you play units, smaller units, control board, play under curve, And I think in villain you can play under curve a little bit more because you're going to have something with a little bit higher attack power, a little bit less health, and then that experience token helps level that out. I would be interested to see how can we make units that are out of takedown range and fell the dragon range, and how easy that is going to be with Snoke, because that might actually just be his sweet spot right there.
Mm-hmm.
You can just tell your opponent you only have 3 copies of Fell the Dragon, so choose your 3 targets because I'm building more.
That's true. So, all right. Well, let's move on to another one. I don't know who's JJ. You're next, I guess.
Let's see. Let's do Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I feel like this is kind of the light side's answer to Snoke, because it's kind of a similar ability for Obi-Wan. Deploys on 5, but only has a 3 attack and 6 health. Not particularly strong. It almost begs to be equipped with like a lightsaber. But its ability when he gets attacking to give an experience to another unit without an experience token is okay. It kind of reminds me of Rey, just without the detriment of like choosing a unit that has 3 less or 3 power or less, right? It definitely allows you to kind of play wide. Like if you're able to play a lot of units out there, you're able to kind of like readily get that ability off pretty easily. It's definitely begs to like play with like coordinate type units, right? With like a lot of clones that get benefits for having a lot more units out on the board. I think that works really, really well with this particular type Obi deck. Could be pretty decent if you're able to get out units out really fast, and that way Obi-Wan has plenty of targets to choose. I'll give it a low B, mainly because it does rely on you having a lot of units in order for it to be effective. But there are ways to control that there. So if your opponent is unable to control that, then Obi can get a lot of steam easy and give out a lot of experience. So it's good.
Well, I disagree with you wholeheartedly. So,
What do you say?
In the vein of not trying to put another S tier in, because I don't think he's broken, I would put him at the top of A tier. Period. I've had nothing but positive experiences with him. I'm at a 70-ish% win rate with Obi. Period. So I actually have a deck tech I built that will come out this week on Obi. So I really think Obi's good. I think he's one of the best characters that they've given us out of this whole set. I think Qui-Gon's more fun to play, personally, but Obi had some cards built specifically around him. So in my testing, Obi just had like the deck comes together pretty quickly. The Force is a lot easier to get than people thought it was going to be, and Obi can just spam units faster and more productive than some other decks. I think it loses to hard control probably, but this deck does work very well into soft control, into other mid-range decks, and you can race an aggro deck pretty quickly with it. So
yeah, so remember how earlier we're just like, hey, Obi-Wan kind of seems a little bit underwhelming, but if like they build a lot of cards for him, we think he could be pretty solid. And it also depends on how well you can generate the Force. Well, he did that, which is good, I guess. His abilities not requiring a resource is very strong. And he's just another one of those efficiency leaders. Green Hero's pretty solid with that. 3/6 for 5. I mean, you turn yourself into a 4/7, right? No, it's got to be another unit. But like, he's got good stats. He's got good keywords, or well, the traits. So I also have him in A tier with Talzin. I think he's, you can build around it pretty easy. I think he's just a solid mid-range leader. It's going to be kind of weird because like, so is Rey, so is Luke, right? So is Yoda, and they all tend to go into green. So it's like, what does he do that's necessarily better than those other decks? We'll have to find out. But yeah, I mean, he seems just pretty solid because there's a lot of ways to just like, oh, I drop this, it gives me the Force. Here, I just give get an experience token for roughly free.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like him. I think he's really good. He would have been my pick personally. So, all right. I'm gonna grab Grand Inquisitor, and I'm just gonna stick him right here between Ray and Cal. I think he is god awful. Personally, I do not have any interest in playing him. I do not care about his discount. I guess maybe that's just very callous of me, but I have not put a lot of testing into him. I will admit that. But his ability feels like Jin, and we see how well Jin has done for everybody. So have fun playing him in Sealed. Like, I think in Sealed he'll be fun, but outside of that, I don't think so. So
I'm not quite as down on him as you are. Mostly because like you use his action, you attack with a unit, right? So you just choose a force unit and get the force back, so you can kind of like keep that sustain going. The -2, -0, in theory, helps with your units living, or like not popping a shield if they have 2 attack. I think a 3/5 shielded stat line for 5 is not great. But I don't think he's worse than Ray. I would put him above Ray, but under Morgan. That's my contribution. I like the idea that you can like attack with a force unit, give that defender -2, get the force back. I don't think that's a bad loop. I don't think it's unplayable.
I think honestly, like it's one of those leaders. It feels like Captain Phasma to me, right? Like it requires you to have a lot more options in order to build around it, and you also need that that ability to constantly generate force to like really take advantage of the ability. Could be nice with like a bunch of electro staffs on top of that, just to make it like really
That's
nice.
only when you're defending.
I know that's what I'm saying. Like if you're defending, right, and then you get to attack that unit back if you wanted to. Like if they attack with like a sentinel unit against your sentinel unit, you're taking less damage, and then you're going into their sentinel unit back, and you're able to like take that down with like even less damage going in. Could have worked with some grit decks, but again, you're really going into like you're really turning yourself into like a really niche hole in order for you to really work Grand Inquisitor's ability, almost to the point that it's almost unplayable, I think. So I have to agree with Chris. Like this felt really low for me, so I did have it as the
Yeah, I feel like I'm a little bit higher on him than you guys, but not by much. I think it's just like, well, it's an okay benefit. I have like 6 other yellow villainy leaders I'd rather play.
Yeah.
Or other combo cards that involve like villainy yellow, so
yeah.
But I think he's a little bit better than Ray. He's solid and limited though. I'll give him that. Probably. Solid and limited. 2 attack matters a lot more there.
it does. Yep. All right. Well,
it's like -1/-1, like Talzin was. That would just be so much better.
Yeah.
That health modulation is the key part of who cares about the attack, right? That's the problem with him.
All right. Well, what's the next one?
I'll take Barris Offie. So I actually have her in the B tier, mainly because I feel like she's a pretty decent control leader, being able to use the force to play events for 1 less. There are a number of cards that actually help her do that between different units and events, and on top of that being in yellow and also having blue, being able to pay for stuff like Power of the Dark Side for cheaper, or like Takedown and stuff, that really plays into having control. You add in Bib Fortuna, add in Jabba the Hutt in there, to really like go even deeper into the event strategy, and also play units that help like take advantage of that, like Bosk from set 1. You can have a really, really solid leader for her. I actually have her in a high B. I think she's a lot of fun and she's great.
Alex?
I actually have her in well, I have her in like high C, but like I have right around the same power level as like Seventh Sister to me. Playing events, that's the right kind of the leader you want, right? As like a yellow villainy if you want to discount on events. Like sneak attack is really silly. Now there's two of them's really silly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you can do some really silly things. You have to get the force, which you can do. Her flip also requiring the force is a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
But it is like kind of an unlimited thing as long as you have the force back. So I think like I might be a little bit down on her a little bit more than you guys, just because like you also have to have units out there. Then you want to play the actions, so it's just a little bit more steps. So I feel like she might falter into certain like aggro decks or something like that. But I have her like high C, low B kind of thing.
I probably disagree with both of you, but I also have not tested her a ton. I would have put her in low A. We'll leave her in mid B, I guess. Like, I think that there's some cool stuff that I've been able to do with her. I've been able to cheat out. I don't think the force is that as hard to get as people think it is. They're giving us a lot of cheap 1 cost, 2 cost force units. And to be perfectly honest with you, if you play it as a control style deck, you can just essentially kind of you could kind of play it like a Cad Bane would, or a Quinlan, or stuff like that. So you could just control units, and then until you have enough stuff to put out to be able to play your events cheaper. So I will say I don't like it that she comes out on 6. That is a negative for me personally, because it means she's going to play harder into like a mid-range tempo deck that I would prefer, not being able to flip to 6. But I will tell you, we all kind of like were a little bit down on Vader. Okay, I wasn't down on Vader. Everybody else was down on Vader. And Vader is now one of the like top decks. It's maybe not winning absolutely everything, but it's won quite a bit, and it's one of the 3rd most winning decks in the competitive hub right now. So I kind of view her in that same vein, that to be able to discount it and only have to have the force, I don't think that's as big of a problem as what we think it is. But I have not been able to crack her to make her sing like Obi was. Obi just like, I didn't have any issues. I was able to build a deck very quickly off of him and make it work. So,
yeah, I just, outside of like sneak attack, and now there's 2 of them or something, I don't see like playing the event for 1 less to be like that majorly like game changingly different. I mean, I guess if you're playing like blue, it'd be kind of cool to super laser blast on 7. If their leader deploys on 7 or something, but it doesn't seem like the card pool there is strong enough that like she warps the game well enough with her ability. If that makes any sense.
Sure. Yeah. So, all right. Well, let's move on to the next one. I don't know who's
let's do Kit Fisto, because I called that one.
Okay.
Yeah. He's probably better than most people give him credit for, but also I don't think he's particularly great. I think he's roughly like around where Morgan Elsbeth is, right? Like a high C kind of thing for me. I'm just not a big fan of leaders requiring me to have other things on the board. It's probably because I play a lot of control, right? So I'm just like, well, if I don't have a board state, like he's not super impactful, and that's not what I want from a leader. And like also spending 1 resource for 2 damage is fine, but like then you're playing a little bit under curve.
We got that leader right.
Yeah, like that's my apprehension with Kit Fisto. Like I understand he can like stack pretty high. You also might not even bring him out on 5. You might wait a little bit longer. I'm not exactly sure. I have not done anything with Kit Fisto. I haven't put any theory crafting yet. But to me, it's just like, okay. Yeah. I just don't like my leaders to depend on other things being around unless it's like super easy to get off.
JJ?
Yeah, I agree. Like for me, like Kit Fisto feels like it should have been like a set 3 leader with Jedi token units, right? In order for Kit Fisto to really feel like it has a viable strategy to go through. But even with all the cheap generic Jedi units that are available there, you're still struggling to make Kit Fisto balance, having cheap units out there and also having an extra resource to pay to use the ability in order for you to a unit, not a base. So, the high cost of you being able to have this particular ability just to damage a unit it feels like it's not very synergistic compared to the other we have currently that don't have to go through as many hoops. For me, it's like the tier for me, because it's just hoops you got to go through in order for you to reliably use his ability and also deploy significant impact offense to like attack with.
So I'm going to put him over Revan. That's where I see him as. I think he's better than Revan. I do think that you can get stuff out to make him more powerful, but yes, he just kind of falters to like a heavy control deck. Again,
they're like one for wanting you. Like he doesn't seem like super impactful, right? They're just trading a unit for one of your units.
Yeah, I mean, he has some cool stuff. Like, I mean, he does have the ability to. It's you got to think it's like paying 1 for the Red 3 ability, and I think Red 3 is an amazing, absolutely stellar, hands down one of the best cards that was made last set. Like, I love that card so much. I actually don't even bother to run the what is the other Red Squadron card that
you're talking about Red 5 and you don't run Red 3.
Yes, there you go. Yep. I don't run Red 3. I run Red 5. I just think that hands on that's a great card. And so this one is I'm going to pay for that, right? But I do think that there is probably some stuff with him that like it's really harder because you have to have attacked this round, so you have to do that no matter what. But it doesn't matter if you attacked and it went into a Sentinel. You want to talk about how to kill stupid village protectors? This deck does it. So like very easily this deck handles Sentinels. How long it can outlast everything, that's to be seen, I think. His leader flip just doesn't have the impact that a lot of the other ones do, in my opinion. So, all right. Well, let's move on. I'm going to pick Avar Chris because I think she is very interesting. I don't know why I have so many B tier picks, but I'm going to put her in B tier. I will tell you that I feel if you control her board, it's really hard. I do genuinely like the fact that it's an action to get a force. I think, especially in this set, that works out very well. Her leader deploy is not as awful as you think it is. I will tell you she does not come out till 7. 90% of the time it feels like when I play her. Which is not like the end of the world, right? Like I can have, I can have 7 resources and I can have the force already use, and then her, it kind of is like the Yoda effect, right? Like when she flips, she's just a big unit. So if they have something to answer her and you haven't done anything else, you lose the game. Period. Like there's nothing you get to do.
It's an Anakin analog.
Yeah, and like I think she's good. I do think there's something possibly there to her, and maybe B's a little bit more generous than I should be with it. But I do think that like I don't know. I think that there's something considerably there that we have not discovered yet. So I would just put her mid-range B. That's kind of where I felt she fit based on the testing I've done.
Oh, I have her right behind Qui-Gon, actually, like in a high B.
Okay.
Like it's Qui-Gon and then like Avar for me for top of the B list. I think it's just more of like, well, deal with my 8-10 overwhelm leader. I can get to that stage where she'll flip on 7, right? Because that's generally what the developers and you're saying, right? Like I can get to 7 pretty easily, by building a certain deck, and then just have this monster leader. Again, feels a little bit like Anakin, right? Where if you don't have an immediate response, that's just very, very difficult for you to do anything. But I think being a green hero, you can restore or sentinel or whatever. You can get to that point where she comes out and then she's an issue. Even if you don't have that much impact with her leader, I think just the generating the force as an action is also really strong.
Yeah. I could side with that being like the value feels a little bit higher than maybe Barris does at this point.
Like not having a board, right? Like I can use ability, play Shatterpoint, and just vanquish anything, right, for 4.
True. Yeah.
Like that I like a lot more than just like, well, if I have this board out here, I can get the force, and then I can use that force to do something, play a villainy card or whatever. That's kind of why I like her a lot.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Like I have her at a high B. One of the biggest things is just her ability to generate that force consistently. Just unlocks a lot of options that you can use to like really just play like really good units. Even if you decide you don't want to, it just opens up the rest of your deck to play with a little more control. So that way you can help delay the game until you have those that big unit drop. And then on top of that, by the time you reach her resource cost to deploy, even if you're deploying her on a 7, I mean, the next turn you have like reinforcement walkers that you could drop. You have, if you're doing red, you could do Crate Dragon. You have a lot of great big units that your opponent has to have an answer for at that point. And if you can control the board until then your opponent's going to be hard pressed to have a winning strategy. So, yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on. I think we're probably all in agreement with. I think that's the first one we've all been almost 100% in alignment with. So
yeah,
Cal and Ray,
right, well.
like the bottom ones. I think. Yeah. So speaking of bottom ones, not all the way at the bottom, but like Darth Maul. I think he's not a D tier, but I don't think he goes too far in the C kind of category, right? Like I would think Morgan Elsbeth is probably better than Maul. Just in like theory crafting around it. I feel like although his body's really nice too. At a 5/6 for 6. It's a lot of damage, not a lot of health. I can respect that. It's just I'm not sure like pinging two different units for the force is like that impactful for like a red villainy. I feel like there's other things you can do probably better with what he is.
See,
it's cool
like
because he's Maul, but
see, I actually had him at a high C, and the reason is because of Lieutenant Krennic and Chimera, right? Being able to stack the deck with when defeated abilities. Granted, he's not doing it as efficiently as Thrawn is from set 4, but if you're able to use the Force reliably and then get an advantage from pinging your own units, causing them to die, and then getting an effect for it, and also damaging one of your units, you can effectively help control the board a lot easier and still get benefits from it. So I do like that particular ability. I do note that it does require you to have the force in order for you to do this reliably, and sure, there are ways, like cheap ways for you to get that, but it also kind of like stalls your strategy. So that's why I still have him in a C tier because of that. But if everything goes right, he can actually have a pretty decent like mid-range game, I think. But again, it's just having the right set of circumstances in order to really make Maul do well. He is a pretty impactful leader when he does deploy and does really well. I think, especially when you equip him with like a fallen lightsaber or like a dark saber, I think he can do quite a bit of damage that way. But beyond that, yeah, I mean, I can't really see him taking down like a ton of tournaments, but could be fun to play around with.
I don't know. I like him. I have
Forgot
not
that he exists.
I have not done a lot. Yeah, I haven't done a lot of testing with him. I will say I agree with you. I just don't know how much the ping matters.
Yeah, you're spending the force to ping 2 units, which seems a little bit underwhelming.
You know, he works
in my
really
mind,
well
right?
with a few other units. Like he works really well with the Darth Maul unit, right? Like I mean,
And the TIE daggers.
and the TIE daggers,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
There's
And
some
no
stuff there.
disintegrations.
Yep.
Sure.
There is stuff there.
He's not unplayable in my head. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think he's good. I think he's cool because he's Darth Maul, but that's about it.
Like, I'll be honest, I like him over Kit Fisto with some of the weird combo stuff, which I like better than Morgan Elsbeth, I guess, at this point. I can already hear my child screaming at me for putting Morgan Elsbeth that low. So I think we put him on the high end of C. I think that's kind of where he fits. He probably drops lower in the long run of things, but I don't know. For now, I really think that he's probably at best playable, and at worst better than Kit Fisto, because I don't have to pay a resource and swing with something. I just have to have the force. So
Yeah, I think Morgan's better. I think Revan's better.
Yeah, I agree.
I also have Kit Fisto lower than those guys, though, so like my whole ranking's a little bit weird.
all right, well, I guess we'll move Kit Fisto
No,
down.
leave it wherever you want.
All right,
I understand why you're hesitant.
Let's do the next one.
Man, who do we got left here? Kanan Jarrus. I'm surprised we didn't talk about Kanan sooner. So, Kanan, I have actually as A tier. I love Kanan's ability. It is very easy to have a lot of great creatures to play, as well as the Spectre units in all different types of colors. I think Kanan Red is probably my favorite right now. And being when deploying, having that shield to help him survive that initial hit if he ends up getting hit, and then on top of that, having access to different lightsabers makes Kanan really impactful. I think when you play him, he gets that buff if he has another Spectre unit out there or creature, so it's really easy for that to help him get that initial buff, which will make him a native 5/8 when he deploys on 6. So it's nice. Like I enjoy his play style quite a bit, and yeah, I think that he's gonna do very, very well.
I think that JJ and I are probably both in the same camp. I think he's not as good as Obi at all. I would question the difference between him and Qui-Gon. I genuinely also, though, have had decent success with Kanan. To be perfectly honest with you, like I feel he hits that Luke. He has that Luke stride. I know Luke has a little bit less of a consequence in terms of it could be anything as long as you play the unit, you can shield it. This one is as long as you have that unit, so you could continually shield the same unit. I don't know. The testing I've done, I believe he's worked decently well, and I like it as an alternative because like I don't feel like I have to build a force only type deck. There is quite a few specters and creatures that you could play around with. I believe he is viable in 2 colors. I believe at minimum right now. I have not tested green yet, so I think there's a possibility to have a 3rd color. So that's kind of where I put him in A, is because I know there's at least 2 colors he can be played in. So,
Wow. Yeah, I do not agree with you guys at all. I have him lower than like Snoke.
Oh,
I think his
ouch.
leader flip is fantastic. It's incredible, right? Like having a 5/8 shielded 6 flip leader is great. He's got great like tags and traits and stuff, but I don't think that he's an A tier. I don't like. I mean, you're limited to creatures and specters to just use the ability, and like those are fine cards. Like Ezra fits very naturally into that kind of deck and all that stuff. And you got the space whales or whatever.
Mhm.
I don't see him doing a lot more than even Luke, right? Like I don't see him doing better than the other like blue heroes in that kind of role. I think he's a fine mid range guy. I don't think he's A tier. I don't think he's. I have him in like low B. Yeah.
All right, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to move him. I'll move him down to B, but I'm going to bump Qui-Gon up to A now. That's what I'm doing. I don't believe everybody's in B tier. How about that?
I mean, I have two A tier.
I know you do. I know.
That's my perspective. But I also have like an E tier, right? Like you don't go that low.
Yeah. We could. It just feels
Like the S
overkill
instead, right? So.
All right. We got 2 left. Should we do Ahsoka or Kyle? We'll do Ahsoka first. So I'll just put Ahsoka down in C tier at the very end. I would play Maul over her. Sadly.
Ooh. The very end of C tier.
That's where I put her. Yeah. Like I don't really have a strong opinion. I've done almost no like work up on her. I've not played her more than like 2 or 3 games. I feel her thing is like I feel she's like a combination of Chewbacca and Grievous. There you go. And I don't like her leader coming out. I think is okay, right? Like I do think like
5/6, man.
A 5/6 for 6. I mean, it's so small. So
it's huge.
Okay, well,
yeah, and that's the only thing keeping him up from D tier.
Yeah. So like I think that's fine. But I think her ability is worthless. Like I guess I don't know. Maybe it's not now, and maybe it'll like surprise me. I think in draft or sealed, she's probably pretty good. I actually will probably, if I get her in my pre-releases, I will probably play her.
She is a common.
And because I really loved Rose when I played Rose last set, and I think I will like Ahsoka in draft quite a bit. And I don't have like a bunch of merit for her. I guess like I was already burned once by being nice to Ahsoka one time. I don't know if I can be nice to her a second time.
What do you think, JJ?
I don't know. So number one, the keyword fringe kind of gets me, mainly because that kind of like prevents her from getting like buffs for things that were like really like help Jedi and stuff. Sure, she's a Force unit, but I mean,
same keywords as Ray, Blu-ray.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, like I think that I think Dana called it right. I think at a bottom C tier, she's not terrible in terms of being a D tier, but beyond that, her on attack giving a sentinel to a unit this phase, you can probably do some work by having out some tokens out there just to allow you to constantly spam, like token sentinels out there to force your unit to go through them. But beyond that, I don't know. I mean, she's great as a unit, as a leader deploying into a ground unit. Like she's really impactful that way. But as her regular ability, it just feels like you're stalling so much for not very big a payoff. So I mean, I will choose. There are a ton of other leaders available right now that just feel a lot better than Ahsoka. So unfortunately, I do have to give her a low C.
I have her at a high C. I have her above Revan. I think giving the stat line on her leader flip is really good. The 5/6 is wild, especially if you like give a sentinel or give a unit sentinel before you flip her, so she doesn't like auto die or whatever, like Plo Koon. I think giving any unit a sentinel for the force is huge for late game things. Like imagine like dropping a reinforcement walker, healing 3, and then giving it sentinel. Right? Like now you just have to go through like this 6/9 monster or like Zillow Beast, right? Because you're having fun and it's like, it's a 10/10. Now it's got Sentinel that it regenerates 5 at the end of the turn. So have fun with that. There's the blue Jedi from set 3, where I believe it's like every time he's attacked. Yeah, the Knight of the Republic, every time he's attacked, create a clone token. I think there's just enough that you can mess with your opponent by giving something Sentinel that it normally wouldn't have to make it really interesting. Like even if you're playing like yellow or something, right? You can just like give it to Grogu and just like tell their first drop, you can't do anything this turn, right? Like you're not getting through Grogu, and if you don't attack, I just exhaust your guy anyways. I think she has more potential than. I don't think people are going to play her, but I think she. It's like the stigma that Lando had last set, right? Where it's like, oh, well, he's unplayable. He's like a 7 flip. He gives things shields. You have to have things in both sides. It's like, well, if you build a deck around it, it can like do some work. I feel like that's for me with Ahsoka.
All right, fair enough. We got one more. I think it's Alex just turn, right? Is that
Kylo? Yeah. Yeah,
So,
Kylo.
S tier for him. Yep, there you go. That's where we put him for you. You believe he's S tier.
Kylo's hard to judge in my mind, right? I actually have him just right below Avar Chris. I think Qui-Gon is probably a little bit more versatile. I think Avar is a little bit harder to deal with. Kylo, he can do a lot of stuff. I think like a green Kylo, you can do some really cool things. Like you have like Eagle Authority, right? Like you can like do things when you attach units to them. You got that underwhelming barrage, whatever that was, the +2/+2 that just nukes the board. That's like OB. You can do kind of cool stuff like that. Yellow, you can just like put shadow detentions on them, snapshot reflexes, just swing in immediately. I just it's kind of weird. It's hard to evaluate just because you have to like you want your deck to have upgrades, but then like you're not playing the upgrades, so what value are you really getting through it other than just like digging deeper into your deck? But when he flips, he has the potential to be a monster, but if you don't have like the really right set of upgrades when you flip him, or like you needed to play a card immediately, like to like live or something, like if they have like a one giant unit, you need to play like Power of the Dark Side. When he flips, you don't get as many cards out of the discard pile. I think it has the potential to like be a little bricky, or he could be like super strong, right? Like, and if you don't have an answer for him, he can get kind of crazy. So I think he's like high B for me. Like I said, I have him right behind like Qui-Gon and Avar. So what is that? I guess like 5th best leader for me. So it's a little bit higher than I expected him to be, but I think he's pretty solid. He's weird. It's hard to just head sim stuff like that.
Yeah, I think he feels like the Trench of this set. Like I think we underestimated Trench so much, and then like all of a sudden it's like, no, there's actually something to Trench that we have.
No, I don't think we underestimated Trench. I don't think he's a very particularly good leader. We just happen to build a really good deck around him.
Yeah, well, I think
there's a difference.
I think you could do the same with Kylo, in my personal opinion. I think there's something to Kylo too. I have not played a lot of Kylo yet, but it is kind of similar to my playstyle. I do genuinely like the ability to discard. I will tell you, I played against somebody that played the like like it threw entrenched in their discarded
That's
pile.
hilarious. I was gonna say that actually. That would be hilarious.
I didn't like think about it, and then all of a sudden when it came out, I didn't have a way to answer it, and the leader just sat there as a sentinel on the board, and I had to pivot to space, and I still won the game, but I feel there's enough control in villain that like Kylo fits the color suite pretty good.
And you also have to play upgrades though.
You
And
do
like
it.
not negative ones like Frozen.
Yeah, you can't play Frozen, because that would be hilarious if you like flipped them and it's like, oh, you're gonna put your own Frozen on Kylo, which you're not technically supposed to do anyway. So I don't know how that's gonna work. I'm assuming we just rule you don't get to play that.
Well,
So
I mean, like, what are you trying to do when you're trying to play your own Frozen on your own leader? Don't do that.
Nothing. But I think there's some niche things to him. I think the decks that say I'm willing to build a Voltron Kylo when he deploys and hope you can't take care of him are stupid. That's not my play style, and I think that if you do that, whatever. If you do that, good on you, good for you. I do not genuinely think that that's going to work. And every time I played against that, yes, if my aggro deck goes that long, I lose. But I'll tell you what, if I'm playing it
anyways, right?
Yep,
Like,
I'm playing a control deck. Your Kylo just cries, so I don't know what to say. Like, I could do a million things to him. So I don't know. I think that I'm torn between his ability. So how about that? Like, I'm happy he doesn't come out any sooner, because could you imagine if he came out like on 6 resources? Like, oh my gosh, like he
like
would
3/3.
Yeah, he would be really good
wrong.
if he came out. But the Sentinel piece is kind of what's got me really interested in it, which is funny because I think Ahsoka sucks. But I think he's good because he is a Sentinel, and there is some cards that we'll talk about for him that actually like kind of make him pretty decent for it. But yes, you could break your hand. I don't know. I don't. We'd have to talk about what's the ratio cards that you would play.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I can tell you, having 3 entrenched in your discard pile is not the answer, though. It's absolutely effing hilarious to have like 9 extra health on your Kylo. So, like, I cried a little bit when that happened. I won't lie. He couldn't swing the base, so I just never played another unit.
Sure. Yeah, it's just kind of like I said, he's a little bit hard to head sim. JJ, what do you think of Kylo?
I mean, like, it feels like a weaker Gar Saxon to me, and I don't know why I just have this affinity for Gar Saxon as of late. It feels like you're really just working to just create like a super upgraded Kylo just for the funsies, but he's not overall. Number one, he's milling himself, and you're not overly contributing to the rest of your hand, right? I mean, sure, you might pull up a better card that you had in your deck sooner. That might help you out, but it just really, really depends, right? And there are always those times where you end up with like all your good equipment down at the bottom of your deck, and there's nothing you can do about it. And you just have that really one bad turn, right? And then in that case, Kylo's not really contributing anything to the rest of your deck. So for me, I mean, he does have great stats when he comes out, and yeah, putting in entrenched on there is actually something I would have done just to make sure that he becomes like an 8/8. But at the same time,
If only you can put imprisoned on leaner units, then you can just
know.
I'm going to stack triple entrenched and imprison myself, so I just lose all my abilities. But I'm still like a 11/11 or whatever.
I know, right? But yeah, like beyond that is like a single power failure, and there goes Kylo. So unfortunately I have him at the bottom of the C tier right now just because of that. Sure, you could build some ramp decks to get him out early, and then he can do some stuff, but overall, like, if as a card, if he was like a ground unit, like just by himself, then that'll be a different story. But if I'm going to judge him based on all his aspects as a leader, the ability to self mill and then hopefully get good cards later on, and it's costing you an action on top of that. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like it's super strong. So I have him at the bottom of the C.
All right. Well, I'm going to leave him in the middle of the B for now. So, I think two of us outrule that one. I don't think we. I don't know. We'll see. Well, folks, this was our way too early leader rankings for Legends of the Force at 5. Let us know again. Let us know in the comments what you think. Most people are not shy about that. So, yeah. With that being